Hi everyone. This week I'm talking to Bridget from Melbourne, Australia, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Great. Yes, and she's been very gracious to let me talk to her today, and she wanted, or I wanted to ask her questions about her walk. Uh, you did the Camino Frances or Portuguese, or which one was the first one you did?
Yeah,
The
French
Frances
one.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Is it a few years ago?
Yeah, so 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Uh,
had planned I had planned to do it like right now. That
yeah.
was on my bucket list for
Yeah.
15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I didn't because I would have had to cancel.
Yes. Yes. So you actually didn't have any plans to walk this year.
Originally I did,
Oh,
but I'm
okay.
glad I felt inspired to walk a few years earlier.
Yes. So there
Um,
was. Do you have? But so
yeah,
but you're
yeah.
thinking of maybe walking it again one day, or?
I never thought so, but I found myself on the Camino, the forum again. So I
Yeah.
reckon it's deep in my psyche.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. So when I talk to pilgrims like this, I kind of want to have them tell their story in the way that tell about their whole trip from the beginning to end, because I'm
Yeah.
thinking there's people at home maybe wanting to do it, and they have all these questions that everyone have before they start. So I was thinking,
Yeah.
how did you find out about the Camino? What did you read a book? Did someone tell you, or?
So I remember doing a course I think it was about 18 years ago, and it was a Catholic nun actually that was telling her story about her journey across. She was saying how it was the most life-changing thing she ever did, and it was amazing. And I didn't think much of it because I had two young kids at the time, and I thought that's great for her, but I didn't give it a second thought. And then over the years, I'd hear a story or I'd see a movie or I'd feel, I'd see a book and then I'd read the book and over the years I got quite inspired and I thought I'm definitely going to do that one day and I'll put it on my bucket list for when
Yeah.
my kids are older. And so I actually had planned, definite from my head, 2020, this was going to be the year. And then only, 2 years ago, I just felt gently inspired to do it, in 2018. And I'm glad I did.
Yes. Now, when you were planning it, did you how? Because some people plan it very detailed. They organize everything before. Are you one of those people that try to have everything very
Um,
prepared?
Yeah, so I definitely prepared, obviously, the flights and I did book my first night in Saint Jean Pied de Port and the Orison night because I knew I was freaking out about the physical aspect
Yeah.
because I'm not sporty at all.
Mm.
And I thought I had a few panic attacks actually. um, but I knew I wanted those 2 nights booked, and then I really wanted to be open to the experience and not have any expectations.
Yeah.
So I left everything else open.
Yeah.
And I even gave myself more time than like John Brierley's guide recommends because I knew I'd be slow and I didn't want to rush. So I gave
Excellent.
myself a bit more time. Yeah.
Now, do you recommend people stop in Orison?
Well, look, each to their own, but I absolutely had to stop in Orison.
Yeah. Okay. So you felt
Yeah.
like you were not a sporty person, so you felt that was the right thing for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
could not walk that full day in one go. No way.
Yeah. Now, what about your backpack? Because did you? Many people that I talk to, when they talk about their backpack, they the first time they walk, if they walk several times, the first time they walk, they make a few mistakes, and then they learn, and then they optimize their
Yeah.
backpack for the. What was some of the mistakes that you did for your walk?
I did bring a sleeping bag. It was a very compact one, and I wasn't sure how the weather was going to be. And I
What
did appreciate
what
the
time of year
sleeping
were you
bag,
walking?
May, June.
Okay.
So I started in May.
Yeah.
I started like mid-May. Um, and I enjoyed the sleeping bag at Belare. I think I stayed in St. Jean, and then at Orison I used it. And then not long after that, I realised I probably don't need it, and I donated it.
Yeah.
So I got rid of that. And I just missed it on one night for the rest of the Camino because
Yeah.
there was one night that was quite cold and they didn't have blankets.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was my biggest.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
you were you're pretty good then. It wasn't too heavy, your backpack then. Seems like you.
No, I think I was with the sleeping bag. It was about 10 kilos, I think.
That's good.
Um, yeah. So yeah.
Now, as you come from Melbourne, so that's a big trip. How did you? I don't even know. From Australia, is there a lot of options, travel options? Do you go through like Dubai in that route, or is that pretty much the
Uh,
only way?
so you can go that way. So I went via Doha,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Paris, and I stayed a night in Paris, which was lovely.
Yep.
And then there was French train strikes at the time, so I was a bit worried about
There's always a
that.
French train
Yeah.
strike.
So, but my train that I had booked wasn't cancelled, so that was
Okay.
good. And then I caught the train from Paris to Bayonne, and then there was no trains from Bayonne to Saint Jean, but they had replacement buses.
Oh,
So I
okay.
just caught the yeah. So
Did you find that was a good way of doing it? Because of course, when you travel so far, to having at least 1 or 2 rest nights before you start walking is maybe a good
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, especially from Australia. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad I needed that night in Paris. That
Yeah.
was a
Did you
really
get to
good.
see Paris at all, or no? Not really, right?
Well, I was really glad I saw the Eiffel Tower because I went when I was in my 20s
Yeah.
and I was so scared about speaking French, even though I'd studied it. And
Yeah.
so I went, through the metro in Paris and I was too scared to get out on my own and have a look. So
Yeah.
it was like I had to go and see the Eiffel Tower.
That was nice.
Yeah.
So you got to your starting point then. So you didn't have. So you got just via Paris,
Yeah.
and you had a rest day. So the jet lag was. I mean, I'm sure you had some jet lag, but it wasn't a problem by the time you started walking. It seemed like.
Yeah. So,
Was
yeah.
it? Was it? How was your first day? Did you meet up with people right away? Did you become part of a kind of community right away, or were you? How was that experience?
Yeah, so I had a really lovely first night at Bellare with Joseph is the host there, and I did meet people there, and but I absolutely knew I had to walk that first day on my own because I was petrified of that first day, and I knew it was all up, and I know it's only 8 kilometres, but just knowing that it was all up. I just wanted to pace myself on my own.
Yeah.
So I just meandered and took my time all the way up to Orison on that first day. That first night, I was a little bit lonely and I thought, maybe it is a bit awkward on my own. But after that night, the next day, I loved it. This was a dream come true.
Yeah.
The rest of the Camino, I don't know what happens, but just walking over that Pyrenees was an absolute long-term dream come true for me. Like it was more beautiful arriving at Saint Jean than it was for me in Santiago. It was never about Santiago for me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me, Santiago is really meeting your inner child.
Yeah,
It's
So
not
did you
all the
have good
external.
weather walking over the Pyrenees, or was that didn't really matter either?
It was beautiful to walk with. Like it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't snowing or anything like that. Yeah, so for me it was perfect walking weather, and I just absolutely loved it. Yeah,
Great.
and then I met people at Bellare, and then of course from Roncesvalles, my Camino family was set. Sarah, Steve, Lara, Greg.
Yay! Now,
And
did you meet them at
yeah.
Orison, or did you meet them at first time? Where did you meet them the first time?
So at St Jean.
Oh, at Saint
Yeah,
Jean.
actually
Okay.
not, but yeah. So three Americans I met there, and we met there, but then we went our own way during the next couple of days. But then from Roncesvalles, every night we'd meet up. But I made a point. I wanted to walk every day with a couple of hours in silence, and I had really lovely people that respected that around me. So that was really important aspect for me for the whole Camino.
Yeah.
But then it's fantastic meeting up with people, and you have a great time, and you sing and you muck around. And
It's a good way
so,
of seeing Spain, I think. It's because you go
yeah.
so slow and you meet people, and you smell the flowers, and you get the taste of food and the wine in the various areas. That's
Yeah,
nice.
love.
So what was a
Yeah.
typical day for you on the Camino? Is there such a thing as a typical day? Or was every day like different, or was every day the same? How did you feel like when you
Ah,
started to get into it? Was it how was your day when you walk?
yeah. So I absolutely felt like there was a typical day. I got in such a rhythm that instead of getting up and going to work, I'm just getting up and going to walk.
Yeah.
So it absolutely had a rhythm. I would, get up early. I'd just get dressed. I might just have a drink at the albergue, and then I like to walk an hour, like as soon as the light comes up. And so you've done an hour walk before you have your first cafe con leche
Mm-hmm.
at the next cafe,
Yeah.
and then walk just leisurely. My Camino was going from cafe to cafe to cafe.
Good. That's good. That's how it's supposed to do it.
I reckon I could write a book on the Camino cafes. Uh, so yeah, and that's what it was like. That was my
And then you get to
uh,
the albergue. Did you get the bed and then go out in the afternoon, walk around?
yeah. So then we'd get there. I was so lucky. Like I didn't plan this, but
Mm.
Sarah and Steve, the couple of people I met, they asked me if I wanted to be included in there. They were booking a night ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. So and they just asked if I wanted to be included, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I wasn't planning that, but
Yeah.
and that was beautiful because that made my Camino so much easier.
Yeah.
Like I never had any bed stress or
Yeah.
and we'd separate and might walk our own way, but I
Yeah.
always knew kind of where I was going. So then, as soon as we get there was no pressure or anything, and then we'd just get our beds, have a shower, get changed,
Yeah.
have a chat to people, have a wine. It was yeah,
Did
funny
you feel
because
like you had to book the beds? Was it difficult to find beds when you walked in May or June?
yeah, well, I never planned to book beds
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But because I was invited to be included in there,
Yeah.
and we never really had an issue. I'd have to check with Sarah on that because she did that.
Yeah, but
Um,
did you
yeah.
see other people that didn't book that had trouble finding places?
At Orison, yes, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
unlimited.
Yeah.
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 But nowhere else. There was just one time I remember I don't think we booked this day, and we got there and there was only 2 beds left. So
Yeah.
I said, you two have those, and I was going to walk to the next town, but
Mm.
there was somewhere else further up the street that I just stayed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you do your walk kind of. It seemed like you were repeating the same day then over and over and over, and then when you get closer to Santiago, does things change, or is it the same all the way till the square? Or when you hear like the last day, was that different?
Well, there was definitely excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last and what the books say about after Saria getting crowded, that is
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Yes.
There was the first experience of queues and definitely more people after Saria.
Yeah.
And but still there'd be times when I'd be walking and I'd look forward and back and there's no one around for a moment.
Yeah.
But in terms of the rhythm of the day, it was the same, but the emotions that I'm feeling were different.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
walk onto the square in front of the cathedral in Santiago, were you happy, sad, happy that it was over, sorry that it was over? Well, how was that feeling?
I was tired.
Yes.
And, I had a deep I was really grateful. Every day, I was really grateful that I had the opportunity, that my husband was supportive, that my kids were supportive of me going, that I met these lovely people, that I could go, that everything, that I actually did it. Like
Yes.
I was almost in disbelief that, someone like me who's so not sporty, so not fit, but absolutely took her time.
Yeah.
And yet I'd see all these fit, macho people booming along, and then, a few days later they got injuries.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, I talked to someone the other day. We had a Zoom conversation, and they were saying, "Yeah, I walked with my son. The first few days, he was sprinting ahead, and I was being the slow one. And then after a while, the son got injured because he was pushing it too hard. And then, suddenly the mom was the fast walker.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And
Did
I
you-
can honor,
Yeah.
So and I know like it's a huge amount of distance. But I can honestly say I never really suffered.
No.
You know,
Oh, that's
you
good.
hear these stories of, people going through all this suffering, like stuff that,
Yeah. Oh, good
enjoy
for you.
it.
It seems like you
Yeah,
have good boots, and as long as you have good boots
yeah,
and a basic, then you're good. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. And just, I just rest when you're tired, took off my shoes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I, look, uh, um, took a lot of the suggestions from the Camino, like vaselining my feet
Mm.
every morning,
Yeah.
um, things like that, and just really slow, 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 and
Very good.
rest, rest. Yeah, yeah.
Now, did you go to Finisterre or did you stop in Santiago?
I loved going to Finisterre, but I
Yeah.
didn't walk there. I had a couple of days in Santiago just to rest and
Yeah.
just to take in the moment, and then I caught the bus to Finisterre, and that would to me was my beautiful moment,
Oh, good.
because I love the ocean, and I just I got a bit emotional just seeing the ocean,
Yeah.
and then my friend who I'd met, my Camino friend, she had continued on from Santiago, and so we met up at
That's
the
nice.
end, and
Yeah.
that was nice.
Now, did you
Yeah.
take, because I know in Santiago there's two types of buses that go to Finisterre. It's the regular bus from the bus station, and then there's a tour bus that took a day trip and come back in the afternoon. Did you do like a day trip, or did you go out there and stay there and come back again?
I stayed there for a
Yeah.
few days.
Okay. Oh, for a
Yeah.
few.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's nice.
yeah,
No, the coast is beautiful. The coast is beautiful, and
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
especially for us, living here, there's a lot of nice beaches out there, and there's no one on the beaches. It's very empty, which is nice.
yeah, yeah. I found a little cove in Finisterre. No one was there. That's where
No.
I got a bit emotional
Yeah.
because yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah.
The water is cold. That's why probably there's not many people there.
All right.
Anyway, so then you went back home, and how was that incorporation into your life at home? Because you've been away for what, 4 weeks, something like that?
So it was about 6 weeks, and it was the longest time I've ever been away from my family.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, the experience was life deepening. People say life changing, but I don't say that. It's like life deepening. I felt more connected to my family, more connected to, work and things that I'm doing. So, so I definitely sat with that for a while. But then, of course, things get back to, how they were. And to be honest, for about the year after, I did go into a bit of a mild depression. Nothing major.
Yeah.
I'm still
Yeah.
functioning and going to work and all that.
Yeah.
But it did, get me in touch with, like deeper meaning of life. That's why people do the Camino. It's like you question everything on that walk. Your whole life's up for question.
Yes.
And that's to me what's beautiful about it. You've got such a long time and nature and towns to sort of think through everything and just let things sort of sift through so it's I'm still affected by it actually.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
because it just and the simplicity. It's like you just get rid of everything you don't need in life, and
Exactly. I talk to a lot of people that come into Santiago, and because I have this luggage storage service that I run, and people come because they usually bring too much, and they send it to me when they realize. Most people send it to from Pamplona because that's the day 3. They've walked with it for 3 days, and they pick it up in Santiago, and they're like, I don't know why I brought all these things. I don't need all the things. They realize they don't need that much stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's nice. So
Yeah.
you felt like you came home, and so incorporation back into normal life was easy, I guess. Then it wasn't. 'Cause some people find it difficult out there.
Yeah. I was just really grateful that I had the opportunity to go and that I actually did it, and just really, like the Camino, just really slowly letting that infiltrate my life.
Yeah.
Which is still having effects.
Yeah.
Like I'm still back on the Camino on the forum that you run.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I really did think this was just a once in a lifetime bucket list. That's it. And then,
still on
weeks
there.
ago, I'm back
That's
on the
nice.
forum
Yeah.
having a look.
So it seemed like it had an effect on you. That's nice. And it
Yeah,
seemed like you had a
absolutely.
good time, walking and
Yeah.
experiencing Spain.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it was
nice.
joyful.
Well, thank you for telling your story, and you never know. Maybe one time in the future you'll be walking again.
Yeah. I think so. Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thanks, Eva.
Bye
Bye.
bye.